his initial dash lightning fast, so he's covering that base platform with no issue. But he's also someone who, when he falls into that disadvantaged state, fairly linear in how he's going to get back to stage.
Most certainly.
And he can cover it with his own tools very well.
Yes.
So seeing the Ditto at this high of a level is going to be really interesting, I think.
It really is, because I'm almost worried to see who the first Crom off stage is. That's my worry, is that if there's someone who knows how to give Crom, it's Crom mains. And if they're going to have to sit there and fight one another, that means that their whole toolbox against the character will be used against them, since you're giving each other the same exact matchup you've learned how to deal with.
Yep. And the funniest thing about it all is no matter who's more well-equipped to handle you off stage, the other one can just up-B, end it all for both of you. So percentage is barely a factor in this.
Yeah. And that super armor is absolutely wild. I've been really getting thrown for a loop with that super armor. Crom's up-B is absolutely out of this world.
So as we go into the set proper, we're going to get a chance to see what's going down. Just for those who know, James the blue Crom, MattyG the white Crom. And we'll see where it goes from here, as it looks like Matty's going to try to take advantage of it.
And we are doing our best to keep casting this set, but the exposure behind us right now is exploding. It is absolutely bananas.
Everything about Let's Make Moves has been an exciting event. Pop himself plenty, but this is the set we got to focus on, man. James at the ledge, and he's got the first opportunity to take the stock. It's all about who can let him off, but just like that, Matty takes advantage. We're going to be seeing a lot of that in this set.
And
just because of how fast both of these characters are, they're going to be able to take advantage back so quickly. So you can never really tell who's got the momentum until we see the first stock break.
And on top of that, since both of these are Crom mains, you're seeing very interesting moments of respect. As you see, whenever it comes down to the ledge, they're not as interested in punishing the up-B. They want to see the option. That's what they're constantly looking for. Are you jumping? Are you rolling? Are you just standing up because you want to? They really are looking for that. So it's awesome to see the Ditto coming into such full circle effect.
It's really impressive, too, because it's like both of them know what they can get away with, but they're also really aware of how smart the opposing player is. So it's like they could try to go for that option that's like so ridiculous, he would never do this. All of a sudden, it starts a wild combo and massive momentum shifts. Because honestly, they really can't afford the momentum shifting too far into one direction or the other.
And especially what we've seen already. I mean, those momentum shifts are resulting in stocks for the most part. So as of right now, you can't give that up. You cannot let that go out of your way, because that very well is like 99% sure aiming for stocks.
Absolutely. Matty trying to go for a bit of the juggle here. He's not going to be able to do it. For what it's worth, this is a really good stage to help Crom get himself back on the ground. Just because there's so much space at center stage that you can aim for, but then also the platforms are right then and there to help you out. So it's like you could also make good use of directional air dodging, fixing up how you're going to land. Tons of opportunity to get your feet back on the ground, but unfortunately James is going to do so off the Angel platform and finding himself in his last stock for the game.
And this matchup feels like it's gone so fast already. These characters really just delete one another the way that they play, because this is just confirms their GTFO at this point. That's all I'm saying.
We got to finish our thoughts a mile a minute, because we would turn away from the screen for 1 second. All of a sudden, this match is already tying itself up just like that. James has got the advantage, and with a counter just like that, no jump means no more stock.
The deletion is so real. Stock delete. Like, just goodness gracious, man. Crom versus Crom. Unreal. And one hard decision is resulting. One roll onto the stage right now. My man's at 93. James, be careful.
So far, it's looking like he's going to pay the price with his life as a forward tilt ends game one in favor of MattyG.
Yeah, and that was stage control game right there. Whoever ended up holding it down was the one running all the shots. And I really want to see how James comes back from that, because Matty looked like that was his whole play style. He looked like he was 100% aware that if he controlled the floor, if he controlled the ledge, and he just had that stage presence, James wasn't going to have anything. Character knowledge, matchup knowledge, a little bit of both. Most certainly, it was all there.
It's one of these things where it's like you have to figure out what are you going to reserve for yourself so that you don't burn out too quickly. Because if these players are trying to do everything all at once, all of a sudden they got nothing left in the tank for game 3. And I could very well see this go into a game 3, because just as we saw the momentum shift left and right, it was really just key moments where MattyG just outsmarted and outplaced himself from where James was.
Most certainly, and as we saw, the stage played a huge role into it. You know, it was there was a lot based on the level for these two. So we're going to see how the counter pick goes for James and where he takes this.
just taking a look at the crowds and seeing how, like, one side is so very clearly all the New England folks and Tri-State's all piled onto the other. I love it. But speaking of the counter pick, we're going to actually run it right back to PS2, and I think it's a perfectly fine pick. I feel like as far as this matchup goes, like, they want to give themselves the most advantage they could and focus more of their efforts on fighting the player.
And at the same point, though, they are pushing the raw basics of the matchup. You're on a platform, you're going to get sharked. You're trying to recover, you're going to get pressured. Like, they are not missing a beat when it comes down to things just because this is Crom versus Crom. They can punish each other ultimately without question.
It really boils down to almost like an execution test where they have to figure out where's the error, how do you exploit it, because you only have that one small window to take advantage. Otherwise, the stock is gone.
And I think that last interaction we saw before was the most whiffed aerials we've seen all set at this point. You know, this is the most I see players reaching for their combos, whereas last set, or last game, they were completely on point, you know? So this is very interesting to see the change-up already happening, a little less tried and true and a little bit more searching.
In game one, they were very much on top of each other because they were still trying to feel out what they can get away with, how far they could space into what they need to, how well aware was the other player really, because it's one thing to have top-level experience against a Crom, but now you have two top-level Croms, the two top-level Croms on the East Coast clashing. They got to figure out, like, where the pieces meet and where the blank pieces are.
Exactly, and you know, you highlighted the best way. This is the pinnacle of the ditto for these two. You know, this is really what the strongest in New England and the strongest in Tri-State is bringing to the table right now. So you really have to see what they're going to find out as they're playing out this set.
And then as far as whiffed aerials go, it's really a matter of, like, getting their moves to the absolute of their spacing. Like, they have to figure out just how far they can reach while trying to keep a safe distance, because they know very well that if they do whiff or if they overextend, they're eating a ton of damage, potentially a stock.
And they are so well aware when their stocks are ending as well. You see it every single time. The only time that these guys dial back is when they're off stage and they can just tell, this recovery is not going to cut it. This guy's got me down packed. But right now, we are still in the same stock. It just looks like James is having a really hard time finding the closeout against Matty. Matty has really been shutting down James's options.
He's just doing such a good job of taking control of the airspace that James wants to maneuver in, and he's so well aware of what Crom can do with all of that airspace. Look at this combo that's brought us already to 68 and counting.
And it looks, I can't question that. That's looking flat out real. That's just looking like this is the matchup. You cannot be the one to get hit first.
And you can barely check Matty's movement right now because he's doing such a good job of mixing out whether or not he's going to approach from the ground and you have to deal with a jab or a down tilt, or if all of a sudden you're looking at the business end of a back air and finding yourself already pressured with your corner, in the corner, platform not available to you. You know, you never want to go towards the ledge. Like, what are your options?
Exactly. I felt like there have been so many moments of that in this set. And as we also spoke about, the sheer pace of the match is making it where it's like, what's my option? Where's the other guy? This is an absolute slobber knocker.
And the funniest thing about it is that all of the momentum that sits with Matty's favor, one mistake, it'll sit with James, and just like that, it could just fall into James' win. It's so possible if James plays it smart enough. And at least from this one advantage state that he's sitting in, it's very doable. He just needs to end out this stock because he's sitting on his last, and that's a heavy percentage to bear.
But just like you brought it up, James, right here, up for a huge opportunity, just hoping that Matty doesn't close out this. And these edge games, so important, man. Unbelievable to watch this, as you see. And those up airs so vicious, 158. You cannot play a single game at that much percent against Crom.
Forward tilt from center stage is going to do it. MattyG is taking the set.
And I think that's that.
Looks like it. James puts the glasses back on, the crowd dissipates, and just like that, MattyG's going to take that W.
And just like that, Crom dittos are all finished for now.
You see how fast that set went?
That was unbelievable. That was really...